All right, here is our long overdue homeschool room tour. When we first moved in, we were super excited for this room. It's directly off of the main living space, and it does share a common wall, so the kids are separated from the main living area of the house, but yet they're still very close, so if they need something, it's easy to get help if they need it. And it is right off of the back deck, which is super nice because we get a ton of natural light back here. So oftentimes we actually don't even need a light because it's so bright in here. So when we first come in and come over to the left, we have our first workstation right here. That desk we got off Amazon. The stool came from a yard sale. And this area, they use it for anything where they need to be using a desk. So if they're writing or drawing or doing math or just reading or doing flashcards or, independent quiet work, they're doing it right here. So above the desk, we have our times tables and some artwork and this awesome shelf. It's a floating shelf, except we added brackets just for extra support. Came from Hobby Lobby. I keep a lot of some of my favorite books up there from when I was a little girl. So those are up there just for safekeeping. We have our flashcards. The books up there, some of them are like skip ahead books where we can go into grade 6. We have a 5th grader and a 3rd grader this year. So we're not using them every day, but we do have books where we can look ahead, or if we have to go backwards and remember some things from previous years, we can do that using those books. I also have these big fat notebooks, the complete middle school study guides in math, science, American and world history, and English. I love these books. The science and math I was able to find 2 years ago at Target, and then the English, American history, and world history I got off of Amazon, and they were like $7 or $8 each. So it wasn't a huge financial lift to get them, and they are super intuitive. I love the illustrations. They're really easy to read and comprehend and understand. We love them. So I know next year going into middle school, we're going to be using those for reference quite a bit. Also, to kind of shake things up a little bit, I'm using some of these independent study packets from education.com. We're not using them sequentially in 5 days, but I have them printed out, and then if the kids want to do something out of these packets on just any given day, they can totally do that. I have my planning binder here. It has all of our school information, and I'm not going to open it because it has a lot of personal info, but that's there, and I don't usually keep it out on the desk. It's usually tucked away in a cabinet, but I had it out this morning for planning. So I have our homeschool schedule and some dry erase boards. The smaller one we use kind of like a little lap desk if we're doing maybe some, equations where the kids just want to, not waste paper and just use the dry erase markers. They like doing that. So we have the little one, and then we have our bigger one here, which, believe it or not, both of them get used fairly often. So luckily we have 30 days left, and the 2 things that we're wrapping up are fractions for both our 3rd grader and our 5th grader, and then we're trying to do something fun for writing and, ELA. And so we thought that we would come up with something either creative writing or a persuasive writing piece. So that's going to be really fun and interesting to see what they choose. So over here, I have this really cool cabinet. It's a metal locker system from Hobby Lobby, and it gets quite a bit of use. On top is where I keep all of our busy work workbooks for the current grades that we're working on, which is 3rd and 5th. I have the 6th grade one still out, and then I have the summer brain quests up there also. just to mix it up a little bit. Just like I said, it's busy work. Not everybody wants to learn from a worksheet, so we do mix these in quite often, but they're just here because they're handy. I love the Math for Minecrafters Adventures in Multiplication and Division. It's really geared towards, I would say, 3rd grade, but my 5th grader has picked it up a few times and used it. This is what it looks like, and I was actually able to get it off of Amazon. So in my first locker, this is normally where my teacher binder and all of my planning supplies go. For myself, it's kind of barren in there and a little bit messy, but that's where all my stuff goes. The next one down is I have some Mad Libs, some writing journals, index cards, and there's a number of different sized journals back there that are totally blank. These 2 packets I actually got in the Target dollar spot at the beginning of the school year. And then the smaller ones, I think they're like 4x4 or 5x5. They're just blank journals that you can get off of Amazon. They come in a pack of like 100, but they're good. They're, you know, they fit right down in the kids' backpacks if they want to take it somewhere, if we're working outside, or if they're just, you know, take it in the car, they need to write something, they can do that. So the 3rd one down has all of my art supplies and epoxy. We do some art projects with different types of resin, and of course the acrylic paints that I love so much are kept in here. And then the bottom shelf just has like overflow of the acrylic paints, and then our 3D printing pen and supplies are all in there. So that's those. You can see Charlie outside. She's enjoying the sun. So we also have our unofficial class pets. This is just where the fish tank fits, and we have a gourami and a pleco. The other side of the deck. Okay, the other workstation that we have is right here. Again, it's the famous Amazon desk, the yard sale find stool, I think the lamp, and the other 2 shelves above, as well as the bookshelf, all came from Hobby Lobby. So this is our computer. We have our computer and our printer set up right here. The kids use it for everything. They're, you know, constantly on it for Google, or if they're typing something, or we're doing a little bit of Excel work this year. Nothing too crazy, so they enjoy their little space over here. I have a section here that I have created for when we're doing writing. So I put this little pocket on the wall, and we have the different stages of writing, the pre-writing, drafting, all the way down to editing and publishing. And then I created these cool like clip art things. They are pencils actually, and I made them into writing checklists, revision checklists, and an editing checklist. One of them is just for my 3rd grader, and then the other 2 are for, these 2 are for my 5th grader. And it's just good. I laminated it so we can take it with like a dry erase marker, and if they're doing like writing work on the other desk, or if they're here typing up their last bit of writing piece, they want to be able to go through and check off, you know, the different writing steps as they go. And I also, if I can get them out, which I can't, but I also made these little printable things that live down in here, and these are just, I call them juicy words, and they're just different words that you can use instead of ran. You could use raced, or instead of like, you could use prefer, things like that. So it just helps to use juicier words when you're doing a writing piece. So above the computer desk, I have these really cool glass canisters where we keep our crayons, colored pencils, and markers. And then above that is overflow art supplies. So Sharpie paint pens, a little robot kit, and some glitter. And then I have a little tiny box up there that we use. It's actually to hold little critters from outside. They like to catch bugs and look at them under our microscope. So, and then over here, this is our library, and it's our favorite spot of Homeschool Room. Like I said, the bookshelf came from Hobby Lobby, and then the baskets, the 3 baskets here came from Amazon. The green one in the middle is something that we had from before. So there's not really much rhyme or reason to the way that we have our library set up. As I was doing so and gathering up the books that I wanted to have on kind of permanent display here, I wanted to go through and get the ones that, you know, meant something to us, or maybe were ones that you would find even like in a traditional school library. So the first thing is I have the Narnia, like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe box set. It's well loved. All of our kids have read it, and my husband and I have read some of those when we were younger. Same thing with the Roald Dahl books. Love those. And clearly the Witches has gotten the most use. When my kids were in traditional school, they made these like community helper books, so I have a few of those on display. The Invisible String, because that's always a good one. When my husband and I took our trip to San Francisco a few years ago, we couldn't go to the Alcatraz, to the island, because it was closed and really, really cold. I think it was just a crummy day. But we did bring home this really cool book. The kids love it. They love the story behind Alcatraz and all like the haunted stuff. So that's just like a reference book that we keep out. We have our Wonder book and more of the handmade books from, you know, previous years when they were in traditional school. We also have the Who, What, Where books. So these 2 are out just because it's something we were looking at recently. We have the Bermuda Triangle, the 7 Wonders of the Ancient World. We actually pull these out like around dinner time sometimes and talk about them while we're eating dinner. And then, of course, I got these. These are like the classic books. I actually picked them up from the Target dollar spot a number of years ago, right at the beginning of school. And so we have Moby Dick, The Call of the Wild, Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and White Fang. So our kids have started reading Tom Sawyer, White Fang. Actually, I think we've read bits and pieces of all of them at one point or another. So these down here are I have a little tag on it, it says readers, but these are all of our chapter books. I have a lot of like Judy Blume, there's some Harry Potters, some of the I Survived, My Big Fat Zombie Goldfish, we have Sounder, some of the R.L. Stine, the Goosebumps, Magic Treehouse, things like that. So those are all in there. In this basket, it's labeled geography, but I also have some history items in here too. So we have our president flashcards. We have one of these big, huge world maps it's a scrunch map that I got from Target. So no matter like if we put it out on the floor or something, it doesn't rip or tear or get like messed up. You can just fold it and use it however you want, and it just always goes back to the same shape. So that's cool. Another Who, What, Where book from the first Thanksgiving. And moving over here, this is our science bin. Slowly but surely filling it up. So I have some books in here about science, space. Oops, here's another one that didn't get put back in the right spot. This is what was the Titanic, which is fitting because it's April, so maybe we should read some chapters out of that. But this is science and space. I also have one of our little gemstone boxes here so they can view and observe and take a look at different types of rocks and minerals. And then, of course, down below is our favorite section, which is animals. And because of my equine and, dog background, I have quite a bit of horse books and veterinary handbooks and things like that. You can see that one down there has its spine damaged and well loved because I've had that since I was a little girl. This bin here has more of daily, day-to-day readers that have, the little mini chapter book type things, beginner books, things like that. A number of these I've gotten from the Target dollar spot. I've picked some up off of Amazon. I got a few at Walmart. Maybe a few came off of Amazon, and I'm sure if we dig hard enough in here, you'd be able to find one or two. Yep, here it is right here. We have different animal books from Chick-fil-A. And we really don't use them, but I can't get myself to part with them yet. So there they stay. We have our animal encyclopedias, a really cute book over here about polar bears. And then I love this ocean book. My parents got it for, for one of the kids, a number of years ago. And it's really, just really pretty to have on display. So you can see Charlie is howling. So I hope you can get that on camera. Anyway, so there's that, and that is the end of our tour. I hope you like it, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. All right, thank you.